Hey, this is Marcus Gustafsson from aetas.com and welcome to part 2 of this Be Water tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made the water in the Be Water movie. So, let's begin. So, here we are again in the Be Water composition. And we're going to add water to our cup. So let's get into our cup composition. And here we have two layers. We have cup mat and we have the cup. And we're going to use this cup to display water through the cup. So first of all, let me explain what mat is used for. Mat is used for when you want to display a layer through another layer. So for example, here we have a text layer, a red solid. I want to have the solid displaying through the text layer. So we go to our red solid, choose Luma Matte AE Tuts. Now you see that both layers disappears. That's because the red solid isn't overlapping the text. So move it upwards. And now the text is red. That's because the red solid is displaying through the text. And we're going to use the same technique when we create our water. So first of all, let's create a solid. Name it water. Move this solid beneath our cup mat. And choose Luma Matte. Use the mask tool to cut it in half. So right now the water we have is a bit too flat. We're going to make it more wavy. And we're going to make that by choosing an effect called Displacement Map. So distort, Displacement Map. And we're going to create our own Displacement Map layer. So open up a new composition. Do this 2000 times 2000 and name it waves cup, and add a new layer, new solid, and name it waves. And we're going to add effect called radio waves. So go into generate radio waves. So here are the waves we're going to use, and they're going a bit too slow, so we're going to increase the frequency and the expansion. Let's preview. They're much faster, and we want the lifespan of these waves to end at the end of the composition. So we will decrease the lifespan to 1.8. Looks good. And choose our color to be white. And want to start width to be 100 and end width to be 1. So let's get back to our cup and drag the waves cup into our composition. And choose wave cup and choose use vertical to alpha and vertical display 20. So here we can see the displacement of our water layer. You see them there. Let's turn off our waves. But they're a bit too sharp, so we're going to use fast blur to soften them up. Fast blur, blurriness 120. Get back to our cup, and there we have some nice waves. Let's preview the animation. It goes a bit too slow, but I think it looks absolutely perfect. Just going to center the water layer to the cup. So now we want to make a string of water go down to the cup. So first of all, we need to increase the height of the composition and add a new solid. not going to name this, but press OK. Use the pen tool to draw the path of the stroke. Choose Effect, Generate, Stroke. You can't see it, but it's there. Choose Paint Style on Transparent. Increase the brush size. Turn off the water. And we're going to drag the path a bit and drag it upwards as well. Move the layer to the left so it hits the center of the cup. And set a keyframe for the end. Press U. And set the end to be 0. And when the stroke hits the bottom of the cup, we want to animate the water position. So we're going to drag down the water. We're going to time the water stroke with the water, so move it a bit to the right. And when it hits there, I want to that looks good. There. And there. And we're going to animate the start value of our stroke. Set a keyframe there and set the start value to be 100. There. And we want to animate the waves of the water. So we're going to use transparency, the opacity, and set it to 0. There. Let's preview. I think the animation goes a bit too slow, so we're going to move the keyframes together a bit. Select all the keyframes, hold down the Alt key and move them together. And now I see that the water stroke hits the bottom of the cup, but the water isn't going upwards when it should. So just going to move the water position. That looks good. So let's get into our main composition, and I want to sync the cup animation with the text animation. So I'm going to go to our cup composition and move it to the right, and that looks pretty good. Going to crop down the cup composition with the text and there, and there. Let's get into our cup, and we want to start animating the transition between the cup and the bottle. So we're going to animate the rotation. Set a keyframe for Z rotation and move. You see that the cup mat is not following. That's not a problem. Just parent the cup mat to the cup and move follow. And you also see that the water solid isn't high enough. We're going to fix that later, but first of all we're going to make the composition bigger because we're going to add the water now. So height 5000 and width 2000. And we're going to move the cup upwards. So select all the layers, press U to reveal all the keyframes. Move the cup upwards. Let's extend the height of the water. Solid settings and choose 900. There. So when the water hits the end of the cup, we want to move down the water solid. So it seems that the water is pouring out the cup. So just move it down. There, looks good. And we want to animate the waves, so the water is moving when the cup is rotating. Move it to the left. Bit too soon. That looks good, synced up and perfect. So now we want to import the water. Import file, water, drag it to the timeline, and we're going to flip this water to scale, set it negative, and move the water to the edge of the cup. And choose the water, double click on the mask tool and select these 2 points and move them downwards. And there. So let's change the anchor point of our water illustration. Move it to the top and parent it to the cup. So when the cup rotates, the water follows. We have a problem here. We want the water to always point down. And we're going to fix that with a simple expression. But first of all, let's turn the layers into 3D. So now we're going to add the expression. So go into our water and alt click on the stopwatch of the Z rotation. Pick with the Z rotation of the cup and put a minus at the beginning. So now the water will always point down. And let's animate the mask. Press M for mask path. So when the water hits the edge, we want to animate the mask. So set a keyframe. Move forward. So the keyframe there as well. I'm going to copy the top value and set it as top value. So when the water hits the edge of the cup, we want to start animating the mask. That looks good. So let's get back to our main composition. And now we want to make the water hit the bottle. So first of all, we need to position the cup, because we made the cup composition much bigger. So we're going to have to drag the composition down. There. Alright, so I'm going to extend the cup composition as well as the bottle and its text. So let's pre-compose this. Name it bottle comp. And choose to crop it down. There. Choose the view to be front. You saw that the background disappeared. That's because the background is not a 3D layer, so don't worry. We're going to zoom out and we're going to place the bottle at the end of the water stroke. Right now the ball is in 3D, so we can't see it, but there it is. And place it, scale it up, and place it so the water stroke hits the bottle. And there. So let's go into our bottle comp and to our bottle illustration. And there we have the bottle mat. So choose new solid, name it water, and place it beneath the mat and Luma mat. Choose the mask tool and cut it. And we're going to repeat the same. I'm going to just duplicate this first. Duplicate, drag it to our timeline, and name this waves bottle. Delete all the keyframes for the waves bottle. So now we're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to choose displacement map, waves bottle, choose the alpha, choose 25, maybe 35, looks better. So when the water hits the bottle, we want to animate the water. Just going to turn off the waves and the water so we can see when it hits the bottom. And there. That's when we want to animate the water. Press P for position and set a keyframe and move the layer downwards. There. I want to animate the mask of the water. So set a keyframe there, and a keyframe there. And copy the bottom value to the top value. So now we want to sync the end of the mask animation to our water position, so it lines up perfectly. There, looks good. And we want to animate the waves as well. Set it to 0.
Use the teapot. Use the teapot.
So let's preview and see how it looks. Maybe a bit too early with the preview. There. So while this is rendering, I can tell you that this is the end of part 2 on how to make the Be Water movie. I can tell you that the transition between the bottle and the teapot, I'm going to make this exactly the same way as I did with the cup and the bottle. So I'm going to pause this recording and do that for you. So we can go on to part 3, where we're going to make the scene, adding the camera, animating camera.
Put water into a bottle. Put water into a bottle.
And that looks perfect. So I'll see you in part 3 of this tutorial.